Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, where there's no intro today because, well, who knows what technology does. And I am incredibly frustrated with it. So with that said, I want to wish you a happy and healthy start to your Saturday morning, or perhaps your late Friday evening, for those of you over there in the Western Hemisphere, which are on lockdown most likely. Well, I hope that you're having a good one because, well, why not, I suppose. Anyways, plenty to talk about on good old cryptocurrency land today, as I do believe we are seeing that higher low being set in progress, at least for the weekend, which does call into question a few other things, but that's going to really make up for an interesting short-term, medium-term, and longer-term time frame analysis here. I've also almost completed my new setup, so I'm really excited about that. I think by tomorrow I'm good to go on another Twitch stream, so I'm really excited for that. Definitely check on in if that sort of thing interests you. Links in the description below. But today I will not be on Twitch. Elsa might be, so if you want to hang out there, that's always well and good too. I'll be hanging out essentially because we live in the same place. Anyways, let's put the focus on the Magic Internet monies over here, as the Krown chain application once again showing some things of interest. The open interest showing 850 million on the board, which tells us that we have still not seen that major shift or that major phase change in Bitcoin price action that we've been looking for. I really want to see in order to resolve a higher term time frame breakout or breakdown from this territory, I either want to see Bitcoin price, or sorry, not Bitcoin price action. I want to see the open interest shoot up above 950 million or below 750 million. So a delta of 100 million from where we are right now. That would be damn good, plus a break of a major region in order to denote the next sort of phase in Bitcoin price action as far as the higher and even macro timeframes go. But for right now, it's actually, well, it's the weekend, of course, so lower term time is actually kind of like the name of the game, I suppose, right now. Also, before we get into that, I should also say that my new channel for my gaming hobby has been resurrected, or erected, I guess, and it can be found at Total Krown. If you're interested in such things, definitely go check it out. Could use some more friends over there, but of course, no pressure if that's not for you. If you're not interested in gaming at all, don't check it out. It's all good. I'm not going to talk about cryptocurrencies there, and it is a little bit strange when people make requests like, "Hey man, why no talk about Bitcoin here?" It's like, well, I have a channel for that. I do have a channel for that in case you want to make any sort of an effort to understand where I'm coming from. That's all well and good. So yeah, definitely check it out if strategy games in particular interest you, as I've been playing the shit out of Total War recently alongside trading. So with that said, there will be a link in the comment section or something like that for it. So looking at all the other top end metrics here, we actually do see Bitcoin dominance coming down quite aggressively now, down to 66%. I don't believe that that's going to denote an actual break in it, but we will have to look at it again today, because I do believe that was kind of on the precipice of a little bit of a difference in behavior there. So we'll go and check that one out. Other than that, everything else more or less the same. Crypto fear and greed index still taken out of 40, which is interesting when Bitcoin has more than doubled off the lows, and the market's technically fearful as Bitcoin's closer to actually getting technically closer to breaking the top side macro resistance than it's not, or especially compared to the bottom side resistance. So let's go over to a fresh chart right now. I want to do some fresh analysis, I suppose, on Bitcoin. And yesterday we postulated this theory that Bitcoin was likely to set in a higher low here at the 9100ish region, which I do believe we're getting right now, actually. In fact, looking at the very low term time frames, like a 4-hour, it looks very clear to me that we put in a nice base on the 4-hour 200 exponential moving average right around 8800 region, and I would be looking for that to operate as a higher low as it stands, and I really have no reason to not be doing that, as the trend is your friend until the end of the trend, and it looks like TradingView actually just added an anchored VWAP tool right there, which I've never seen before. That's quite interesting. But more or less, just making things relatively simple here. As far as the short-term timeframes go, there's two relevant levels of which we are brushing up against the top side one right now. I do believe yesterday I said if Bitcoin were to close an hourly or 2-hour dildo above 9100, I would be looking for 9300, of which that's the next short-term timeframe range. We've gotten that thus far. I'm not saying this to sound arrogant or toot my own horn or anything like that. It's a fucking $200 move anyways. Doesn't matter. Or it's not the one that I'm looking for, essentially. But that does set up the weekend for some interesting action. So as it is right now, Bitcoin backing off from my 9300 resistance. And I don't really have any calls to be made on it as it is right now. But what I want to see in order to denote the next sort of continuation phase of this for the short and medium term is I want to see either a 2-hour closure above 93, a little bit above 9300 would be better, or a 4-hour closure above 9300, the same area. That will initiate what we were looking at yesterday on the 12-hour higher low structure here, which is going to create some hidden bullish divergence between this point and this point, correlating with our last low right here at about 8500 and our current low right here at about presumably about $9,050. So if that were to happen, I would look for extension actually all the way to the top side of the range, about 9,800-ish region, which we can just mark off quite easily like this. And it seems to me like we actually are kind of wedging ourselves into some sort of an ascending triangle, or at least as long as this low holds right here. Again, do we want to call it 9,000 or 9,100? Let's call it 9,000. We'll call it 9,000 to give it a little bit of a little bit of leeway there. As long as that low holds, we are still constructing higher lows, and we are within the context of an ascending triangle, which is a bullish reaccumulation formation with a resolution date probably somewhere right around here, end of this month, which does fall into the narrative of resolution within about a week from now. So I do think by next Friday we do resolve the higher term time frame range, whether it be above 10,000 or below, especially 8,600. Now, the way that Bitcoin's kind of situated right now, I do think that the short-term time frame range is still relevant. Let's actually plot this on the 4 hour, because I actually do think it works a little bit better here. Yeah, there it goes. And where is it? It's right around 9,000, and correlated with this horizontal right here, which I put more weight on. So if Bitcoin were to break this horizontal right here, which is currently at about 8,950-ish region, yes, I would look for a retest of about 8,550, 8,600, as we were saying yesterday, somewhere down around here. But this is the big one. So just like 10,000 is the big one for the upside, at least for the higher term timeframes, 8,550 to 8,600 is the big one for the downside. And actually put in a nice ticker right here for 86. We'll make a nice little blue box. I'll do this one completely fresh because, well, why not, man? Why not? And if this area does break, that's going to be a major change of behavior, at least for the ultimate downside, as that not only would be resolving that area right there, it would also be breaking the long-term trend line that we have coming in from our $4,400 low, which would be coming in somewhere right around here, as you can see, matching up 4 strikes on those lows, matching up with the blue box territory right here, right around about 8,600. So as long as Bitcoin's above there, I'm not like super bearish for the long term. But if Bitcoin were to break below 89, let's just call it 9,000. 9,000 is just easier to say. Bitcoin does break below 9,000 and close like a 2 hour or 4 hour below there, I would look for a test of 8,600. And if 8,600 does break, that's when I do expect expectations are terrible word to have, but that's when I'd really be looking for a lot of hell to break loose, and for at the very least continuation down to low 8,000 right here, probably another small bounce. But I think that the damage would be done at that point, and ultimately we'd probably find our footing either at 7,500 or 7,100, with a particular interest in 7,100 right here. I'm sure that that's probably some sort of major fib retracement as well if we take this on a bullish look on this one. Let's see. Yeah, around the 618, it looks like. A little bit lower than that, around 6850-ish region. Not 0.5 is right at that 7450-ish region. So I do like the way that matches up. And look at the 382 matching up with the 8100-ish region as well. So I like how all those match up. It does provide value in the sense as solidifying those as good pivot points for those time frames. But again, as it is right now, Bitcoin's sitting in higher lows, and I don't really have a reason to be bearish until we actually, at least on the higher term time frames, break below this area right here. Short term time frames break below about 9,000 to 8,950 region. That's where that becomes a consideration. But for right now, things are, in my opinion, actually okay. And if Bitcoin does break above 9,300 and especially close a 2 hour above there, I really want to give it a little bit of space, maybe say like 9,350. Then yes, I would look for extension all the way up to about 9,800, maybe even 9,900. Play out the 12-hour hidden bullish divergence, which it should really be renamed to continuation divergence, which will likely bring it back up to the top side of the range. Keep in mind, though, that historical volatility percentile on the 12-hour is very low. We are set up for a damn big move relatively soon. Anytime that we get into the single digits, we are set up for $500 to $1,000 plus move. Last one coming in 27th of April, which you probably know as this move right here from 77.50 to, like 9,500. And then the time before that was coming back on over here before this move from 7,000 to 10,500 essentially. Time before that was this $1,000 move right here from like 7,500 down to 6,500. Time before that was this major move down here, about 10,000 down to 7,000 or 8,000. So we're talking, likely a big move relatively soon. And of course, with the sombering effect that all major moving averages on just about all the higher term timeframes are still in bullish posturings. We still have 12-hour golden cross gaining more divergence away from each other. Even with this last move to the downside, the 55 has held it up. And keep in mind, the golden cross will naturally be in play, especially as long as we're using the 55 to bounce off of. In this case, I use the 55 over the 50 because I'd rather err on the side of conservativeness, and also it's a Fibonacci number, which is, I'm just guessing that someone's gonna ask that question because I always get that fucking question. That's why. So yes, as long as we're above the 55, I think more or less fine. Where's 55? Oh, that's interesting. It lines up with the short-term time frame range. That's great. And of course, if Bitcoin were to regain even the 21 on the next 12-hour closure, I think very likely back up to 70 or 9,800, maybe even 10,000, and that would really start to look like a massive ascending triangle. And we could kind of presume a little bit of a measure move right now, just based off of what we see. It's not going to be super scientific. I'm not doing this like in the most perfect way possible, but I just want to demonstrate a point and be pointed us. It would actually be pointing Bitcoin up towards 11,000, to be fair. And more importantly, if Bitcoin did get back to 11,000, that would imply that we'd have gotten a new high on a weekly schedule, a new high above this last high that we saw in early February at about 10,500. Any sort of a move above there, I think, is massive for the long term, as that would very likely propel a move to test up to the 11,500-ish region right here, which has been the big bad area for the Bitcoin macro. So now differentiating between the long-term timeframes and then the macro timeframes. Above 11,500 on a weekly closure, it is a new ball game for Bitcoin, in my opinion, and that is further solidified by the volume profile, which shows that we just have a massive change in behavior anywhere above there, as there's just really not been any business done pretty much ever. Bitcoin spent like a few weeks above there in 2017, 2018, and then never again. So that would be pretty damn damning for the long term, as generally I'd just be bullish. Yes, there's going to be ebbs and flows in the market, but I really wouldn't be too interested in shorts. That's when talking about 16,000 becomes not just like relevant, but like probable, and 20,000 is really not that far away at that point either. And again, this is the area that Bitcoin's gotten rejected from. Really, if you're familiar with the concept of institutional order flow, we see it heavily right here in January breakdown, 50% from 12 or 11,005, then a double top right here a month later in February, and then of course in July of 2019, and then again in August of 2019, both providing the impetus for resistance on a weekly closing basis at that 11.5 region. And it's also, if we go over here to CME chart, we do see that that's actually one of the gaps present on CMEs. I don't see any other gaps present on CMEs. I know that a lot of people want to like look at fucking 5-minute charts and call gaps. I just not the way that I've seen them play out, at least in traditional markets, and I would think that plays true here. At least that's what I've seen over the last couple of years since they've debuted. So yes, that's still present all the way at about 11.5 to 12,000 here on CME. So keep that in mind too. Other than that, we do see even on a daily right here that above 10.5 things really do start to change as well. So that's why that measure move is so damn important, because if we even just get above that last prior swing high right here at about 10.5, then yes, I do think another $1,000 continuation to test the macro region. And personally speaking, I think testing it for the fifth or sixth time is very likely to break. At least statistically speaking, it is very likely to break at that point. Anyways, let's go back down to the lower, while we're on here on the daily, of course, daily still riding the 21 exponential. I'm just not bearish. I'm not bearish on something that has the golden cross and then is above the 21. Doesn't mean that it can't move down, but I need to see those things happen first. Looking at daily momentum oscillators, we're still on CMEs, but looking at daily momentum oscillators on spot, we do see daily Stokes are down, and they will remain to the downside as long as Bitcoin price action is below 9,600 or 9,620 if you want to be super exact. We do also see a daily Joule sell signal, which is kind of nasty, but someone asked a good question about this in the Discord earlier, and realistically, I do put weight on Joule signals that are on spot price action, but not above what I see on CMEs here. And CMEs is actually just coming down to support right now, as you can see. So I've found that the CME signals are very less likely to fake you out, and when the CMEs do give me a signal, it's usually extremely likely to play out, and we just don't see it on the CMEs right now. So I am skeptical to see that play out here on spot price action. But if that does play out, that's very likely going to be good enough to send Bitcoin back down below 8,600, which is going to then transpire those next very nasty moves, which Bitcoin Boolah's not going to be prepared for. Well, what else do we have on the daily right here? We do have that same sort of hidden bullish divergence potentially in play. This one a little bit more diabolical though. I really need to see Bitcoin back above about 9,300. Yeah, if it does close this next 12 hour above 9,300, I do think that you will see that play out on the daily as well, which is going to be good enough to very likely get it up, maybe not just to 9,800, but 10,000 even. So I do think that Bitcoin has a chance here, and the setup is there. Looking at the 12 hour Stokes are of course down right now, but they are using up a lot of their momentum. And I believe we have a trend line here as well somewhere. Yeah, let's check this one out. Ah, yes, we do. We do. And this trend line coming in all the way back from late February lows. That was on that big dumb dildo party. And holding up all our lows since then. 20th of February, 13th of March. Does that sound familiar, sir? 12th of April, more recently, and 12th of May. And then once again, we are reaching that territory right now. Which is very, 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 very interesting, because it would suggest that if we do head back above, especially the 10 simple right here, which is 94.50 on this next 12-hour closure, we will not only bounce off that trend line, but we will also see momentum oscillators turn back up again as well. So a two-pronged attack there. And again, I'd be looking for extension back up to 9,800 to 10,000 essentially. I think it's setting up here, and volume signature is suggesting a nice consolidation here. Let's go look at the lower term timeframes as well. Lower term timeframe momentum oscillators are actually pointed north right now, although doesn't look all that strong to me, to be fair, but they will stay to the north side as long as Bitcoin price action is above 90.50 on a 4-hour closing basis. We also do see 4-hour historical volatility percentile still maintaining the contraction phase. This was the big one that I've been watching, and what do you know? It does suggest a resolution of late May. Late May was also the same proposed resolution from our ascending triangle formation right here. Becomes very, 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 very statistically likely to break somewhere right around here when it's about 75% full. Again, statistics, it's not always going to work out perfectly that way, but usually is, and it has been working pretty damn well. So I'll leave it there. Looking at the 3-hour, we do see 3-hour Stochs up as well. They're going to be meeting their own trend line, so I am a little bit skeptical of this read right now. Price level is going to be a lot more important. Historical volatility percentile on the 3-hour is very, very low as well, so we are looking for a short-term move here to test, at the very least, a short-term range, which to the downside would be 90.50, to the upside, pretty much where we are right now, so it does probably come to the downside. 2-hour, same sort of thing, looking like it wants to curl to the downside, will cross to the downside on the next closure below 92.50. Same thing on HVP. It is very, very low right now and trending lower, which means that we're kind of winding up for a big bad move. Like I said, probably by the end of this next week, or within this next week, maybe. Hourly as well, maybe do we have any divergence here? No, we don't. But momentum oscillators are down. It looks to me like the hourly wants to come back down. So if I did have to call this right now, I do think that Bitcoin's going to play out a very short-term move back down to like low 9,000. I'll make the assumption that we do bounce there and carry out the higher low. And then if we see that next closure above 93, I would be looking for continuation to the top side of the range at high 9,000s. So yeah, I think that's more or less fine there. On top of that, let's go over and check out the 2-day and 3-day, of which I haven't looked at today. 2-day is interesting here because we will see momentum oscillators cross back up to the upside above 9,400, which does close today, which is also where the 10 simple is. So if you do see a closure above there, which will regain all major moving averages, plus have the golden cross, plus have divergence between all the major moving averages, that would be damn good as well. I think for another move up to 10,000, I think that's probably what's happening here. With 2-day Stochs turning back up, kind of bouncing off the critical zone, I think that's likely the read. Looking at the 3-day, same sort of thing. Crosses back up to the upside above 97.75, but does not close until actually tonight as well. Okay, so fair enough. We actually do have some higher term timeframes closing tonight, but I really think that it sets up for the move tomorrow. Weekly is interesting here because we did see CMEs close for the weekly yesterday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Now, of course, momentum oscillators will stay to the upside here as long as we don't dump down another $2,000. Can happen, of course, but other than that, you have kind of a precarious close here. Actually, I still like the major moving average setup on this. I still kind of err on the side of that for now, but you really should have looked for a continuation this week if it was going to play out. Of course, spot looks more or less the same as it is right now. But just coming back down to fill the last weekly low, as far as the candle body goes, usually going to bounce off that area. So we'll see if this one plays out. Again, tomorrow's going to be the closing date. I'd really prefer to wait for that right now. I don't really see any divergences here to be aware of. I still see this as a falling wedge that broke out to the upside. But if it fails to get continuation this next week, very likely we will turn down and we will head down into the mid to low 7,000s. That I do feel quite confident about. Of course, 10,000 also a major area as well, because it's as you can see right here, it is, hey, as you can see right here on this chart, it is a 618 Fibonacci retracement. It's also the major breakdown area. Jesus Christ, man, this chart's way too convoluted. It's the blue box breakdown area from our last 10,000 drop to 4,400, and also the major fake out that we saw in late October of 2019 when China banned or unbanned Bitcoin, whatever the fuck it was. And then also the long-term descending trend line coming in from our $14,000 highs connected with our last few, which has been tested once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. On the 8th time and further, I'd say that it becomes more and more likely to break. So that area, still very much relevant as well. Any sort of a daily close above 9,800, I think probably initiates that move, which would be the top side right here, right at the 618, or as I said, or even just a wick above our current high at about 10,085.5. I think we'll probably do it. And then the next level, 10.5, or a weekly close above 10. What was it, like 10,200? I think it was. That's gonna propel the next move very likely to 11,500. That's where the macro can change around once again. So that's really what I'm looking at right now. That's really what I'm looking at right now. So let's go check out traditional markets. How did they close on the week? Nas futures looking pretty damn good. Still continuing the uptrend. Holy shit. Everyone's calling for pullbacks. Everyone's looking for the big bad dumpy dump. And everyone else is saying, don't fight the Fed. Well, fighting the Fed, not working out all that well. And again, trend above all else. And the trend has definitely been your friend in this one, as I've been saying for a while now. I do think that the lows are in. I don't really have too much to add on to it other than that. I think the weekly close was more or less good, and I do think that it sets it up for a retest of the prior highs coming into next week. I think that looks more or less good. Looking at the monthly as well, monthly looks very good. It's setting up, I mean, any sort of monthly close above 9,000, and I'm looking for new all-time highs. I'll put it like that over the next month or two. This looks very good. Momentum oscillators will turn back up to the upside. Yes, we did get a sell signal here on the Jewel, but I would not fight price action in this way. Again, assuming it closes above 9,000, and that's, we still got another like week of trading left to go. What about E-mini futures for SPY? Not as strong, but any sort of, but I do think that it closed a week okay. Let's see. Yeah, close the week okay. I'd still be looking for upside of this. Probably does pull back down to low 2,900 coming into next week, but I'd be looking at that as an opportunity before the next move above 3,000, probably to 310, 313-ish region. So traditional market's still strong, I do think, and I still think that they have some more to go. I understand that everyone wants to be bearish on this because the news is probably telling you to. As far as charts go, that's not what I see, and that's not what I've been seeing for the last month and a half. And I do think that it's, if I'm gonna be bullish there, I probably have to be bullish on Bitcoin as well, as that's just been the trend for the last 10 years. And I always get pushback. I always get a lot of blowback for saying shit like this. Listen, man. I'm just playing what has been a 10-year trend. That's all, and I will always do that. So there's a great tweet that I retweeted this morning. Yelling at strangers on the internet is a sign of mental disorder, and I strongly believe that. To the man himself, Naval Ravikant, absolute legend. Anyways, let's go check out Mr. Buterol. How's he doing, or whatever the fuck his name is. But Vitalik, what are you doing? I'm gonna follow whatever Bitcoin does. Looks like a dead heartbeat. I mean, here's the thing. These charts do not look good. No shit. If Bitcoin goes up, are they going to go up? Yeah, probably. Let's go look at Bitcoin dominance. I did see that there was a different read on that on the Krown trading application. Interesting. Okay. Still looks like we're playing out this right here. So we haven't broken out just yet. But I'm still bullish on it overall. I don't really have a reason not to be bullish on it, especially as long as we're above 65.5, as that's our structure as it is right now. And I do see this as a descending brawny wedge, which is likely to break out to the upside, probably targeting 70+% over the next couple months, of which let's go check out the monthly right now. Monthly looks like a major rejection. Maybe I get very, very bearish on this. You know what? Maybe I'll wait for the monthly on this one. I could be severely wrong on this one, but am I severely wrong on this one? I don't think I'm severely wrong just yet. No, I'd still remain bullish on it. Yes, I'd still remain bullish on it. Let's go back to Bitcoin and check out the monthly as well, as it's about a week away now, so relevant, I suppose. Any sort of here's the obvious things that you probably don't need me to tell you. Any sort of a monthly close above 9,300, excellent, and I'd be looking for overall continuation of the upside over the next few months. I'd be looking for 5 digits plus. It looked very good. We'd also see monthly Stokes cross back up to the upside, and monthly RSI would regain the exponential as well. I think that that's a massively good setup. Monthly Joule is kind of giving you a continuation haul to your long signal, so fair enough there too. So yes, the next big piece of information for myself is creating is closing above this last prior high at about 9,300. It looks like. Let's see, what was this? Yeah, 93.27 in spot 8.5 on Stamp. And we see the monthly close in about 1 week from today, actually 1 week from today. So if that were to happen, I would get I'd get bullish for a move back up to like 11,000, 11.5 again. Probably going to set it up for a good breakout later. So, other than that, is there anything else that I want to cover up? No, not so much. Maybe we could go look at Bitcoin versus the yen really quick. See what they're looking like right now. Bitcoin versus yen looks more or less the same. Yeah, still holding the 21 on a daily closing basis. I look at this as a higher low, man. Look at this as a higher low in the making, very likely. I think Bitcoin's going to pop back up to 9,900-ish region. But again, my opinion is not what I trade. I trade technical analysis, and what does the technical analysis say, at least from my perspective? I do think that short-term Bitcoin probably does come back down and test around 9,000, but assuming that holds up, it's just another higher low. If Bitcoin were to break below 9,000 on at the very least a 2-hour close, preferably a 4-hour close, I'd look for extension down here to 8,600. That's where the higher term timeframes really do start to take a turn. And if Bitcoin does start to close higher term timeframes below there, big problems. I do think that there would be bounces along the way, but I do think that it would eventually find its way towards like low 7,000. By the same token, I think Bitcoin's actually okay here, and I think that it probably does break 9,300. If it breaks 9,300 on a 2-hour, at the very least, I'd look for extension back up to 98, 9,900, and that sets it up for a very, 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 very orderly consolidation here in the context of a bullish reaccumulation formation, ascending triangle, as momentum oscillators turn back up around and confirm a lot of continuation type divergences. I think that looks good. I guess we can go over and check out probabilities really, really quick. Let's see, 9,300 obviously going to be very high right now. I don't think that's fair to use. Well, we could let's just elongate it a little bit. Let's make it like 9,400. Let's see, 9,400 closure. What's the probability on the next one on the current bar? 23 spots, 23 and 60% for the upside. By contrast, the downside below 8,600 is 4%, but the downside is like the high term time frame area. The upside is just a short term area, which does transpire that next major move, but probabilities are in favor of the upside, of course, here. Same thing with the daily. I'd imagine it's going to be 30% versus 11.5%. And let's go look at the slope of these guys too, which is starting to, it's flattened out. You could even say that's a little bit up right now. I don't know if I'd say it's like fully up right now. It's not fully erect. 12 hours more or less flat. So I do think that we're at a major turning point right now. Deciding if Bitcoin wants to play out a nice, heavenly consolidation, or if it wants to break down to the depths of hell once again, or well, somewhere between hell and earth. Anyways, I think that's going to do it for right now. I want to wish you all once again, take care, and until next time.